Welcome to Itsacrime. I'm Linda, and today we're going to be talking about Letecia Stauch and the latest news of her trying to hatch a plan to escape from jail with hopes of having help from a fellow inmate. But before I get started, if you'd like to be part of the Itsacrime community, please click that subscribe button below and hit that notification bell. Be sure to click it all so you can be notified of all my videos and all my live streams. Give it a like if you support this video and like to see Letecia stay in jail. Please share this where you can as well. Now, let's get into it. Well, it looks like Letecia's been looking for her trusty broomstick. Letecia has been charged with 1 count of solicitation to commit escape, according to the El Paso County District Court records. And Letecia was in court on Friday, June the 5th. Now, her brilliant idea for her Houdini escape was to use a broom handle to break her cell window. She even measured herself to make sure that she could fit through it. But Letecia needed help, and she needed a broom handle. So she decided to write 2 notes to another fellow inmate in hopes to get help. The other inmate, whose name is Teresa Borchard, said when Letecia has her 1 hour out, she stops to talk to her and said she receives notes by Letecia putting them through the door jamb. Now, these notes were partially written in code because Letecia said she gets her letters opened. So in the affidavit, it says it was added in the letter that the letter was written partially in code because her letters get opened. It was written in the letter about a visit she was having tonight at 8 p.m. Ms. Stauch did have a professional visit at 2000 hours on May 18th, 2020 with a social worker for an hour and a half. This shows that Ms. Stauch is the author of this letter. And in one of the letters, it did have a drawing of said window, and that Letecia had been looking for days at it and called it perfect. Here's what the affidavit says. In a second letter, the author wrote she had been looking for days at her window. The author stated she already measured and drew something that resembled the window in her cell. This drawing can be found at the bottom of this letter, she wrote. The letter stated that it's perfect next to the window that was drawn. The author wrote in the letter asking Miss Borchard to check the broom piece since Miss Borchard gets to use that item on her time out. The author added in her letter that she was dead serious and asked Miss Borchard to just think hard. This letter has similar handwriting to the first letter that spoke about Miss Stauch's professional visit she had in the ward. At the bottom of the letter, the author asked Miss Borchard to throw the note away in the toilet. And also in one of the letters, it talks about Letecia's GPA depositing $75,000 in a checking account and suggested that she would be willing to share if Teresa helped her. In the affidavit, it says, I received 2 letters from Miss Borchard she claimed were from Miss Stauch. Both letters had similar handwriting. In the first letter I opened, it was written that the writer's GPA was putting $75,000 in an account for a private attorney. It was written that the account was open for the author's daughter's use as well. The author wrote to Miss Borchard saying she would much rather use the money to survive, if you know what I mean. In the letter was written, you have my word to make sure we are MIA. I got you covered. Now, I do wonder if this is the same type of comment, like she said, I have the best lawyer, I hired Jose Baez, and we know that wasn't true. Sure, there's $75,000, Letecia. The letter goes on to say, just need to set up some access points. The letter written said that once her and Miss Borchard got access to the state bank and funds, they will be good. Perhaps Eduardo will help her access those funds. Now, Letecia is segregated from other inmates and is only allowed for 1 hour a day out of her cell, where she spends her free time alone. She is also classified as an escape risk and is shackled anytime deputies take her outside the facility. In the affidavit, it says, on May 5th, 2020, Ms. Stauch was housed in Alpha 2. Ms. Stauch is classified as segregation from all, seg all, meaning she will not be moved around this facility with other inmates. Ms. Stauch is not to be housed with anyone else, and she will not have out time with anyone else. Ms. Stauch is also classified as a full restraint escape risk, meaning she will not be transported outside of this facility without full restraints being placed on her wrists and ankles, and her wrists will be secured to a belt around her waist. And if you remember back in March, Letecia was transported from South Carolina to Colorado. And when she got to Kansas, she tried to flee and she assaulted an officer. So yeah, she's an escape risk. Let me pull up the article from a while ago and let's have a little read. Letecia slipped out of her handcuffs in the back of her transport vehicle from South Carolina to Colorado and reportedly attacked a deputy. Sources tell 11 News the deputy was taken to the hospital with injuries. That's why her transport was suddenly stopped, and that's why Letecia was jailed in Kansas for about 12 hours. She was released Thursday morning from the Kansas jail and appeared for her video advisement in Colorado Springs on Thursday. 11 News asked the El Paso County Sheriff's Office for a comment on the reported attack, and an official said they cannot comment at this time. Now, deputies performed a little shakedown of Letecia's cell, and in there they found a letter to Harley. And Letecia said in there if she is no longer in jail or missing to not be afraid. Here's what the affidavit says. During a shakedown of Miss Stauch's cell, I found another letter addressed to Sweetie. This letter had similar handwriting to the first two letters I received from Miss Burchard. In this letter, the author makes the comment that if something comes up on the news, like she is no longer in the jail or is missing, to not be afraid. On the back of one of the pages was the name Harley, which is the name of Miss Stauch's daughter. Miss Stauch has her daughter named as her next of kin in her booking information. The author wrote for this person to just keep normal and focus, underlining these comments. She wrote for this person to trust her on this and underlined it. Trust her. So the deputy asked Teresa why Letecia would choose her to help escape. And Teresa says because she's Italian and kind of a bad boy. And the deputy also asked if she was going to help Letecia. And this is what the affidavit says. I asked Miss Burchard why Miss Stauch would choose her to help Miss Stauch escape. Miss Burchard said it was because she was Italian and kind of the bad boy. Miss Burchard stated Miss Stauch thought if she offered Miss Burchard money, she would help her escape. I asked Miss Burchard if she was going to give Miss Stauch any help, and Miss Burchard said, no way. That is why I told you about the letters to begin with. Miss Burchard said she knows about Miss Stauch's charges and she doesn't want to be involved or have anything to do with her. Miss Burchard said if she did anything, it would be to use her for commissary. Commissary items are food or hygiene products that inmates can purchase. In the Alpha 2 ward, the inmates are only allowed to purchase and have correspondence material and personal hygiene. And at around 11 p.m., two deputies, including the one who wrote the affidavit, went into Letecia's cell. And it says, I told Miss Stauch to put her shoes on because she was being moved. During the interaction, I did not ask Miss Stauch any questions. Miss Stauch was placed in full restraints and escorted to a cell in the medical section. Once Miss Stauch was removed from the cell, we were the only people inside of her cell. No other inmates have access in Miss Stauch's cell. Miss Stauch comes out by herself for her hour out. Letecia was in court, as I mentioned, on Friday, June the 5th, and I will cover that in another video. On one hand, with what's going on, it surprises me, and on the other hand, it doesn't surprise me at all. What I will say is, it's interesting how she did this before her upcoming court date. Now, from Letecia's numerous interviews and articles, she's always stating that she maintains her innocence and she's 100% confident in her innocence. All throughout this, it was everybody else's fault except for Letecia. And now, at this point, these aren't actions of an innocent person, in my opinion. And we know Letecia does some pretty stupid things, this being one of them. So stay tuned for more of Letecia's videos. What I am happy with is that she did this. And the reason why I say that is her actions are actually helping justice for Gannon. And I do wonder at this point what Michael Allen thinks or said to himself when he learns of her shenanigans. I know for me, my eyes have been rolling on the back of my head for the last 2 days, and I had to wait until they stopped rolling so that I can actually do this video. So good job, Letecia. Good job. Keep going, girl. You're doing great. And justice for Gannon is just gaining the points up and up and up. So great job. Keep going. We know there'll be more. Let's have a chit chat below and we can talk about her Houdini and her broomstick. Give a like if you support this video and again want to see Letecia in jail. Please share this out where you can. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.